Hello, my name is Sonali. Welcome back to another episode of Around the World. In the global arena of diplomatic tug-of-war, there is often a tendency to lean towards one side, which inevitably leads to tension on the other. A similar scenario unfolded in recent days within international politics when the Western world raised concerns over Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Russia. However, amidst all this, he also visited Poland and Ukraine. Following this, Prime Minister Modi is now set to visit the United States. According to media reports, Prime Minister Modi will address the Modi and America Progressing Together event on 22nd September in the US. Additionally, he will also address the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly. Since the US is currently experiencing the electoral season with the presidential elections set for later this year, Prime Minister Modi's visit during this period becomes even more significant. Naturally, this raises the question, why is Prime Minister Narendra Modi visiting the United States? Furthermore, what impact will this visit have on the global stage? So viewers, in today's episode, we will discuss these questions. But first, let's delve into the history of India-US relations. The Cold War began in 1947, following which both the United States and Soviet Russia embarked on efforts to strengthen their respective blocs. In 1949, when the then Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru met with the then US President Harry S. Truman, it became evident that the United States wanted to include India in its bloc. However, the newly independent India faced a significant challenge. Should it align itself with any bloc? In this scenario, Prime Minister Nehru chose to lead the non-aligned movement rather than aligning with any particular group. As a result, the United States became displeased with India and eventually turned its focus towards Pakistan, as Pakistan readily agreed to join the American bloc. However, in December 1959, US President Dwight D. Eisenhower visited India, marking the first visit by any US president to India. Eisenhower met with the then Indian President Rajendra Prasad and Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru and also addressed the Indian Parliament. This visit by the US President gave rise to the hope that relations between India and the United States would warm up. However, this illusion was shattered in 1965 during the Indo-Pakistan War, when the US sided with Pakistan instead of India. A similar situation arose again in 1971, further widening the rift in India-US relations. However, with changing times, the dynamics between the two countries have also shifted. The United States, which once tried to assert its dominance over India, is now eager to collaborate closely with it. The depth in the relationship between the two nations, marked by many ups and downs, significantly increased in 2005 when India and the United States signed the Civil Nuclear Cooperation Agreement. Moving beyond the past and focusing on the present, Prime Minister Modi is set to address a massive public gathering in the United States once again. What makes this event even more intriguing is its timing. Despite the potential for anti-India rhetoric in the US during election season, the reality remains clear. If the US wants to counter China in the Indo-Pacific region, it must stand with India. While political interest can be set aside, economic interest often compel nations to mend strained relations. This is precisely why, despite various contradictions, the global stage cannot overlook India's significance. India has emerged as a significant market, and even a nation like the United States, which considers itself a global superpower, has shown a keen interest in leveraging India's vast market for its economic gains. To put this into perspective, during the years 2021-22 and 2022-23, the United States was India's top trading partner. From 2023 to April 2024, the recorded bilateral trade between the two countries amounted to approximately $118.3 billion. Moreover, the two nations frequently collaborate on various global platforms. Prime Minister Modi's upcoming visit to the United States is considered highly significant from a strategic perspective. It is anticipated that during this visit, the leaders of both nations may sign several important agreements, including those related to defense, science and technology, and addressing the challenges posed by China's emergence in the Indo-Pacific region. It is noteworthy that while India is troubled by China's interference, the United States is also seeking ways to counter China's growing global influence. These strategic interests are bringing the two countries close together. Following his visits to Russia and Ukraine, Prime Minister Modi's visit to the United States sent a clear message that amidst global upheavals, India chooses its foreign policy based on its own interest, without succumbing to international pressure. Given the current context, it is not incorrect to say that while there was a time when the United States acted against India and provided only nominal support, India has now become so important to the US that it is willing to change its ways to strengthen this relationship. Now is the turn of Sunday's special edition of this episode, in which we talk about some other important international news. Recently, the Indian Prime Minister visited Brunei Darussalam, marking the first bilateral visit by any Indian Prime Minister to the country. Prime Minister Modi's visit coincided with the 40th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two nations. During this visit, Brunei was recognized as an important partner in India's Act East policy and its vision for the Indo-Pacific region. Recently, the China-Africa summit concluded in Beijing, the capital of China. Around 50 African countries participated in this summit. It is important to note that the China-Africa Entrepreneur Summit is the highest level economic and trade conference for the Chinese and African business communities, organized under the framework of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. This summit serves as a crucial institutional platform for advancing cooperation in economic and trade sectors between China and Africa, as well as promoting the comprehensive development of China-Africa economic and trade relations. Recently, Russian President Vladimir Putin visited Mongolia. Notably, the International Criminal Court had ordered the Mongolian government to arrest President Putin, but instead of arresting him, the Mongolian government honored him with a guard of honor. It is important to mention that Mongolia is a member of the ICC, and the ICC issued an arrest warrant against Putin in March 2023. Since the issuance of the warrant, Putin has visited 12 countries including China, North Korea, Saudi Arabia and the UAE. So that's all in today's episode. See you in the next episode. But before that, let's note down a question based on today's story. India's significance on the global stage cannot be ignored. Analyze this statement, taking America as an example. For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.